I'd like to welcome you all to the WestEdge factory in the neighborhood we call Westmoreland. This is a part of Huntington that's actually in Wayne County, so it's in city limits, but it's also in Wayne County limits. Welcome to the WestEdge factory. Welcome to Coalfield Development. Welcome to the Act Now Coalition, and welcome to the new Appalachian economy. I think it's important to gather in spaces just like this. I think in many ways, this factory is the story of Southern West Virginia. It used to hum. We used to make things here. We've had hard times. It sat empty for more than a decade, but we're on the comeback trail now. People work here, people learn here, people are trading here, and people are building the new foundation of a new Appalachian economy here. So it's good to gather in the WestEdge factory. And you'll notice coal trains still roll by. So today we honor the heritage of Southern West Virginia, the coal fields of West Virginia. We honor the hard work that has powered this nation. But we're also looking ahead to say we've been an energy state. How can we stay an energy state? We live in an era of rapid change, dynamic change. And Act Now is about West Virginia not just trying to keep up with the change, but actually shaping the change and shaping what the future looks like. In West Virginia, we make things, we fix things, we grow things, and we build. And that's what this Act Now Coalition is all about, building the economy of our future for the benefit of the Appalachian region, but also for the benefit of our country and even for the benefit of our planet. I'm reminded when I started as a volunteer in Wayne County in the summer of 2010 as a 24-year-old who grew up in West Virginia, loved this place, wanted to give back, but did not exactly know how to give back. And I was on something in the summer of 2010 called a Hubcap team, West Virginia Community Development Hub, a great program that organization, Stephanie's organization, has run for many years. And our extension agent was named Carl Markham. Carl's since passed, but he was one of those quiet, humble community leaders who just shows up, does the right thing again and again and again. And when we came together as a Hubcap team, you had to pick one primary project you would focus on. And we were squabbling and bickering because some people thought, well, this project in the northern part of the county made the most sense. Some people thought this project in the southern part of the county made the most sense. And Carl sort of listened quietly And he waited till we all got quiet ourselves. And he said, y'all, grew up in a farm family, very rural, had this beautiful drawl. So y'all, we're going to have to decide if we're going to be crabs or geese. And that was a bit of a head scratcher. Nobody knew what he meant by that. And he took the next 10 minutes to explain the difference between crabs and geese. He said both of them, when you throw them in a space together, fight and bicker a little bit. You ever seen crabs in a barrel? They're pulling one another down, they're pecking at one another. And geese are actually the same way. The geese hiss at each other, they swat at each other, they bicker. But the difference is crabs stay in the barrel. They keep pulling each other down, and they can only think about their own self-interest, and they stay in the barrel. Geese eventually decide where they're going to go. And we've all seen that beautiful V formation of geese in flight. And it's really incredible how far they can go together once they get airborne. Here today, we've got geese. We've got the state's 2 largest cities, the state's 2 largest universities, some of the biggest, most innovative nonprofit organizations. We've got public sector, we've got private sector, groups that maybe sometimes in the past have competed with one another, have now come together with this shared vision for a new Appalachian economy. And I'm so inspired by that. And I appreciate all of your hard work. And I believe we're primed to pull this off. So I will just briefly say what the Act Now Coalition is, and then we're going to get to our speakers. The Act Now Coalition stands for Appalachian Climate Technologies. These are technologies that increase climate resilience, mitigate climate change, and contribute to environmental sustainability. So we face changing times. We face a climate crisis, environmental crises of different varieties. That's an ecological problem, but it's also an economic opportunity. So we're going to realize that opportunity through 4 construction projects in Huntington, Charleston, Logan, West Virginia, and 4 programmatic projects which complement the construction projects: entrepreneurship and community resilience, workforce development, training technology workers, green collar workers, expanding the renewable energy sector in southern West Virginia, and converting abandoned mine lands to sustainable lands to be part of the productive economy again. So that's the Act Now Coalition. We've got several speakers to start off the press conference, and then we're going to do a roundtable with the rest of the Act Now partners. So thank you all for being here, and I'll turn it over to Tony. Our first speaker is Mayor Steve Williams, a friend of mine, really a mentor of mine, a visionary leader, and someone who knows all about the difference between geese and crabs, and someone who can welcome you to Huntington if you've not been here before.
President Smith, I love being able to say that, and President Gee is thrilled to have you here with us, and Mayor Goodwin, welcome to the second city of West Virginia. Thrilled to certainly have you as my partner here. Brandon, you talked about the crab bucket theory. You spoke about it with some level of eloquence. The reason that I say some level is that I was first told about the crab bucket theory, a gentleman that so many of us know here in Huntington, and his eloquence, our own Marshall T. Reynolds, who's the chairman of Champion Industries, and his son, Doug Reynolds, is the boss of one of our members of our press here in HD Media. Marshall told me the story about the crab bucket, that the crabs would reach out, and every time one was about to crawl out, would reach out and start to pull them back in. Now, we've been having this conversation for some time in Huntington, and for that matter, it has applied to West Virginia, if not Appalachia itself. When I became mayor, one thing that I was saying is that we would seek to set standards that the rest of the nation would emulate. And as we started putting our plans together, there was one mantra that came along with that. And it was a mantra that was stated by Daniel Burnham, who was famed architect in Chicago at the turn of the 20th century, where he said, make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood. Well, in today's language, we would say would make no little plans. They have no magic to stir people's blood. But the bottom line is very simply this. With the economy in which we are operating, the manner in which the markets are speaking, Huntington, West Virginia, this part of the Ohio River Valley, and all of West Virginia knows that none of us can be doing this when we're standing by ourselves. Mayor Goodwin and I have had conversation upon conversation. President Gee and I have had several conversations. It's very significant for this gathering to see the presidents of our largest universities sitting side by side in a common cause, that the mayors of the two largest cities within our state are standing together in common cause. Huntington, West Virginia market is not recognized nationally. Charleston's market is, in that she is the state capital of our country, of our state in West Virginia. The point simply being Huntington, Charleston market. Charleston, Huntington standing together as one market with Southern West Virginia sends a message to the entire world. We have been known as communities that are part of a coal economy. The opportunity that we have today is to send the message throughout the world that we are an energy economy. Very simply, the markets will determine what will advance. We have to determine how we position ourselves to lead that charge. The beauty of the Act Now Coalition is it does position us in a very strong way to have a very particular reason to stand forward within the national market, the worldwide marketplace. The Build Back Better Regional Challenge is a $1 billion contest that has provided each of the finalists, of which we are one, with $500,000 to finalize their plans for economic diversification and transformation into new and innovative sectors. Dr. Gee and I were talking earlier. Some would say, do you think that you can compete on this stage? Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we know that we compete? It's not a matter of thinking. We know that we can compete. And the reason I say that is that our city and Charleston participated in a similar, smaller challenge in the America's Best Communities competition that was set out for communities less than 80,000 to determine and create a economic revitalization plan to be able to move forward. What was missed throughout this competition is that as 352 communities worked their way down to 16 communities, 3 of the 16 communities were positioned in this region in a 100-mile radius. Charleston, Huntington, and Portsmouth, Ohio. 352 down to 16. 3 of the 16 right in this area. There's something very special that we have that we're able to do here. Fortunately, Huntington was able to walk away with that prize. But the intent was not to win money. The intent was to transform our economy, position ourselves not to overcome the last 50 years, but to set a foundation for the next 100 years. The Act Now Coalition is the embodiment of all of that. What Charleston is doing, and Mayor Goodwin will go into detail, what Charleston is doing is an embodiment of this. What we are doing comes out of the HBIZ plan that we put in place, the Huntington Business Innovation Zones, included WestEdge, included the Highline Brownfields area, included the Hal Greer corridor, and building a broadband network throughout the city that is a virtual ribbon that ties everything together. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. We're awfully fortunate right now to have this proposal coming to our community at this time, because if there's anybody that is prepared to step forward on this, it's us. Now, everybody who's involved in this, and Brandon is going to be ready to pull me off the mic right now. Anybody who doubts that we're going to be one of the winners, then you can just mark right outside the door, because I'm sending a message, we're sending a message. Go ahead and write our names on one of the checks right now, because we're going to win this. Brandon asked me not to do anything other than, he didn't ask me to do all of it, I just did. It's to talk about the example of social enterprises, and particularly what we are seeing being done here at WestEdge. It's absolutely fabulous to see how people's lives are being transformed, how the entire idea of an Appalachian person and the DNA from which all of us emanate, that the Appalachian culture was made of individuals that came and settled into this area with nothing other than what was on their back, on the back of a mule, and then whatever they could grow and make. They didn't have the capability of having all the finest goods coming up to the eastern seaboard. Again, they had to use what they had, make something, or grow something. But the last point was certainly what the Coalfield Development Corporation does. They've also found a way of repurposing that which they already had. Taking those things that would normally be torn down and cast away, finding a way to repurpose it so that it has new life. That's their way of saying amen. See, the train that goes by is an underscore of the economy which we have lived all of these years. Huntington was founded in 1871. It was an outgrowth of the Industrial Revolution. What we're doing at WestEdge, Highline community, in the Brownfield area, Hal Greer Boulevard, it's an appropriate time that we step out of the Industrial Revolution towards the digital age. That's what we're building upon right now. And the social enterprises simply use a triple bottom line. Bottom line of people, planet, and profit in mind. That's what Act Now is going to be providing. That's the future of our region, of Southern West Virginia, and dare I say, it's the future that everyone will be tagging on to our coattails rather than West Virginia tagging on to the coattails of the rest of the nation. It's my honor to introduce my partner, my friend, and fellow mayor, Mayor Amy Goodwin.
I always hate following Steve, not only because the microphone is 9 feet tall, but such an excellent speaker. Thank you so much, my mayor, as I call him. And thanks to Brandon for helping all of us geese get into the right formation. I love that story. And thanks to the superstars and our partners that are here with us today. And I know I say it behind your backs, and I should say it to your faces. We're so lucky, so incredibly lucky. I think everybody in this state realizes how lucky we are to have President Smith and President Gee lead our outstanding institutions at our I will stick to my script. Kind of. I'll try. We're so excited to be part of this coalition. Obviously, Mayor Williams talked about all the wonderful things that are happening here in the city of Huntington, but these new and good paying jobs. Yes, it helps a community, but it helps attract new members of our community, new family members, new growth, new entrepreneurs. The Act Now Coalition will strengthen so many partnerships that we already currently have. Because of the work of Tara Ellis and Advantage Valley, thank you so much. We're going to take Canal Valley Manufacturing, a huge 18+ acre facility that's right in the heart of the east end of the city of Charleston, and transform it into the Learning, Innovation, Food, and Technology Center, LIFT. Our LIFT Center will include organizations and businesses focused on, yes, environmental sustainability, reducing barriers to good jobs, but also growing the climate technology sector. I'm gonna step away from my notes for a minute because nothing is more important than who I just met and the story about what we're going to do in the city of Charleston. Where's my new friend, Amanda? Where are you, Amanda? Where's Amanda? Amanda is amazing. I just met Amanda about 30 minutes ago. Amanda grew up, and you said it was okay to share your story. But I just think you're so incredible. It makes no matter what I've written on these pieces of paper, but Amanda came here 2 years ago out of recovery and found her passion in woodworking. And if you have one moment to meet and get to hear Amanda's story and how she grew from those experiences and doing what she's doing now, she's the most powerful person in this room, and we can all emulate and do what she's doing, is moving all of us forward. So all of us sitting up here talking about what we can do, you're doing it, Amanda, and thank you so much. Thank you so much. Back on Amanda, one quick minute. I know I just said I was going to stick to my remarks. I'm not. It's really, really cool. She's building a wood base. She works in the wood shopping department area in the back, and she's building a base for this amazing wooden conference table. It's absolutely killer. You're doing a fantastic job. But what we're doing in the city of Charleston just builds upon exactly what you're doing here. We want this in every part of our state. We want Amanda's in every part of our state. We want to help her not only get a job, which is great, but also support her with the things that she needs to keep that job. We're absolutely thrilled that we're going to have Marshall University, their Green Battery Institute at the Lift Center. Listen, I know y'all know George Jetson. You know George Jetson. Who's cooler than George Jetson? Brad Smith. Forget George Jetson. We know from Kayla Lewis, who is a high school student at Capitol High School. She creates and created a business called Kayla's Sweet Treats. It's the best President Gee key lime pie you've ever had in your life, and the best chocolate chip cookies. But she's doing that out of her own kitchen. And mom and dad are helping her. And they're building and they're growing out into their garage. Don't we want to help Kayla? We want to help grow our food industry. Thanks to Advantage Valley for doing an amazing, amazing feasibility study on a food production facility. We want to help our entrepreneurs just like Kayla grow and build her business into something incredible. You know, Canal Valley Manufacturing has been a family business since 1902, this place. They put all of their hard work, their time, their energy into this family facility. It's not a small company. They built tanks that served in both world wars. They made titanium parts that went into the space shuttle program. They're still there, albeit a very small part of the Canal Valley manufacturing site. But what a legacy to leave, to have this Canal Valley manufacturing site that helped build and produce coal cars, now help build and produce young entrepreneurs like Amanda and like Kayla, and give them the opportunity that we all want for them. Trust me, I'm a mother of 2 boys. One that, God help us, is trying out for the WVU hockey team in like 2 weeks. And an aunt to a young student here at Marshall University. I know I want the best for our children. That's what this is about. That's what these centers are about. It's about our future and it's about our children and creating a bigger and a better opportunity for all of them. Thank you for letting Charleston be a part of this. And thank you, all of you in the audience, for helping make this happen. Thank you.
To our wonderful mayors, thank you so much. And I'm honored to say we've got great collaboration from the state level as well. The state of West Virginia is on a roll. You've seen some announcements about a new steel plant in Mason County, a new electric bus manufacturer in South Charleston. Lots of good news to be excited about. And I'm excited to introduce you to the Executive Director of the West Virginia Development Office, Mr. Mike Green.
Brandon, thank you very much for having me. After 3 years, 4 months, 7 days, and a few hours, but who's counting? It's been really fascinating to be in this role and help with economic development across our state. And you know, Steve, you said it earlier, you always want to be good in business, but it never hurts to be lucky. I think I came into this job at a lucky time. And so we really are on a pace to do some fantastic things. I've also, over the years, been called many things, but never a goose. I will wear that proud. I'll wear that proud. So thank you. What if I told you that West Virginia has a great shot at winning an additional $160 million from the USEDA? Well, we do. And congratulations to Coalfield Development and this Act Now coalition for securing phase 1, competitive grant. And I will tell you that a lot of hard work went into phase 1. A lot harder work is going into phase 2, right, Brandon? And so, the competition was highly competitive, 529 applications across the country, 60 selected, and West Virginia got 2, right? One with the development office and one with Coalfield's development. And I will tell you that, there are obviously a lot of acronyms in state and federal government. And so the development office's acronym is RESCUATE, revitalizing economic security for communities, utilizing innovative next generation industries. What's really interesting is that the Act Now Coalition Plan and the Department of Economic Development's plan really line up nicely together. I mean, very strategically well done. And I will tell you that Coalfield Development is way out in front of the development office with a very, very thoughtful plan. But we're catching up. And by the way, it's not a competition It's a collaboration, a cooperation, and communication effort. And that's exactly what we're going to do as we win both of these things. Because if any state has a chance to win both, so, the real competition is with the other states. Let's not think about not winning. We will win. I'm absolutely certain about that. But really, if one of us wins, we all win. No doubt about that. And so that's why it's a cooperation and an effort that's really, really cool. I will say that the US EDA has made this incredibly complicated, really, mind-numbing complicated. And so it's kind of like federal government. They give you the money, but then they make it really hard to spend. Well, in this case, they're giving us access to make an application, making it very hard for us to submit that application. But I will tell you that I feel very good about it. We've had, the development office has had an incredible team supporting its efforts. Liz Vitullo, you need to stand up and be recognized for leading this effort. We've got a lot of great partners in our coalition, obviously a lot of great partners in this coalition, and frankly, many of them cross over. So that's what's cool about this whole effort and living in West Virginia at a very great time. So thank you very much. I won't take as much time. I'll just say, this is a really cool day. Congratulations.
And now we've got our two university, no, I'm sorry, we're not quite there yet, actually. I'm honored to have Ryan Thorne on hand, who represents Senator Joe Manchin's office. Ryan, I'll invite you up to the podium. And our congressional delegation has been hugely supportive. West Virginia is one of the few states to have two, and I don't think that's a coincidence. Our congressional delegation has been all hands on deck for this. Ryan?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Brandon, and for Coalfield Development for hosting today's event at the WestEdge facility. It's an honor to join with you today on behalf of U.S. Senator Joe Manchin. The Senator sends his regrets he's not able to join with us in person as his Senate duties require him to be in Washington today. But to mark today's occasion, the Senator did prepare a video greeting that we'll share momentarily. The US EDA's Build Back Better Regional Challenge, made possible by the $3 billion allocation from the American Rescue Plan, which Senator Manchin proudly supported, represents a transformative opportunity for Southern West Virginia, and the Act Now Coalition is ready, willing, and able to seize that opportunity. The robust alliance of organizations and individuals, which is crystal clear by the leadership, the brain trust, the ability of the folks around this table, in the audience and beyond, represented by the Act Now Coalition, will help diversify the economy of the region, create good paying jobs, attract new private investment, provide workforce and entrepreneurial training, and will ultimately lead to the creation of resilient communities throughout the region. As traditional energy communities continue to transition their economies and workforce, it's incredibly important that the government act as a partner and provide the necessary resources and aid in that process. Something Senator Manchin stresses daily, and that he was sure to discuss with US EDA Assistant Secretary Castillo when the Senator hosted her in Huntington last August, shortly after her confirmation by the Senate. Again, thank you to everyone in this room and beyond for working together to amplify the potential that Act Now represents for the region and coming together to seize our next great Appalachian opportunity. With that, let's hear from Senator Manchin.
Hello, I'm United States Senator Joe Manchin. It is my distinct honor to welcome those attending this special announcement from Brandon Dennison and the Coalfield Development Corporation. I wish we were able to be together in person to celebrate this exciting event, but I know we'll all be together again soon. It is no secret that we are fortunate enough to live in a state that is home to the most hardworking, creative, and innovative people in the nation. Coalfield Development sees their potential and develops their skills so they are able to achieve their academic and career goals, no matter their background. It is equally as important to instill in our state's youth that their skills and experience are needed here in West Virginia. They are the Mountain State's next generation of leaders, creators, and innovators. All they need is to be given the opportunity to develop their skills and to be the change they want to see in their community. Coalfield development is one of those opportunities. That is why I've been a proud supporter of the Act Now Coalition, which will boost West Virginia economic development and jobs through projects that will bring sustainable manufacturing, solar installations, energy efficient building upgrades, mine land reclamation projects, job training, and other entrepreneurial innovations to southern West Virginia. Again, I sincerely appreciate Brandon's efforts, and I applaud everyone who has shown their support for this outstanding initiative. Keep up the great work. Thank you, and God bless you.
Forward now, Mr. Alex Vaughn, with Senator Capito's office. Again, both offices have been tremendously supportive. We just really appreciate it. Alex?
Thank you, Brandon. So my name is Alex Vaughn. I'm the field representative for Senator Capito's office. The senator apologizes she couldn't be here today, but has asked me to give a greeting on her behalf. And it reads, thank you for inviting me to participate in today's event. It is an honor to be included in the official launch of the Act Now Coalition. And although I am unable to be with you in person, I have no doubt that this partnership will benefit our coal communities and play a large factor in the economic revitalization of the region. West Virginia's energy industries have contracted. And as a result, many of our communities have suffered from high unemployment and poverty rates. Additionally, much of our infrastructure is antiquated or dilapidated. And unfortunately, this has harmed investment in the Mountain State. However, I am encouraged to see the economic development that has been occurring despite these challenges, which shows the true resiliency of West Virginia. While I did not vote for the American Rescue Plan because of the extraneous provisions, I do believe targeted federal investment is critical in aiding West Virginia's economic development efforts. The collaboration we see with the Act Now Coalition in going after these funds is exactly the type of regional effort that is needed to make a positive impact on our state's economy and the lives of our citizens. I would like to recognize Brandon Dennison and the team at Coalfield Development. Thank you for all the work you do and for bringing this partnership together. I would also like to thank Mayor Williams, Mayor Goodwin, West Virginia University, Marshall University, the Nation Conservancy, the West Virginia Brownfield Assistance Center, Advantage Valley, Generation West Virginia, the West Virginia Development Hub, Crow Ohio Valley, and the many private sector businesses involved in this coalition. You make me proud to serve the great state of West Virginia, the United States Senate. Sincerely, Senator Shelley Moore Capito. Thank you.
I'm about to introduce the new president of Marshall University, a great West Virginian, someone who's personally invested in me and has coached me over the last year. And I can honestly say of all the different classes I've been in, seminars I've attended, 1 hour with this leader, it's like years worth of knowledge and insight and wisdom. And I'm truly grateful for that investment. And now the president of Marshall University, Mr. Brad Smith.
Wow. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for pulling together this amazing coalition of the willing. This is like Mr. Holland's opus. We are your orchestra, and you are playing this orchestra fabulously well. Thank you. And I don't know whether being called all those kind things or George Jetson. I think I'll go with Astro. I like Astro. Well, first of all, I do want to say that Marshall University is privileged to be serving alongside so many talented individuals and organizations, and to have an opportunity to be a part of this coalition of the willing that truly is painting the art of possible and creating the next chapter of great in this amazing state. I think Coalfield Development and Amanda had the chance to see you, and my wife and I had the chance to visit here, and we love this facility. We love the people in this facility because they remind us of everything we are and everything we're capable of being. West Virginia, we are dreamers, we are doers. We both celebrate inspiration and perspiration. And Act Now is a perfect example of how we bring all those things together. What excites me about it is Marshall University plays one part of this massive orchestra. And our part is to educate, to innovate, and to collaborate. We will work with our peer organizations to ensure that we're helping West Virginia stand up a Green Management Online Certification Center. So we're both training and certifying our citizens to be a part of this new economy. At the same time, we're leaning into the advanced aviation mobility or the advanced air mobility capabilities. We're training pilots and mechanics to be a part of the next generation of aviation. And we'll ensure that every student that touches any of our campuses will graduate with the 21st century skills to actively participate and to compete in this economy. Now, the second is we're innovating. We have a sustainability department. We have an energy education center. We are working hard on energy efficiency, working hard to make sure we create green jobs, looking for new ways of recycling and sustainability. In fact, one of our points of pride is our university operates the second largest university compost facility in the eastern part of the United States. In fact, that facility composts, it has a capacity of 8 tons of organic waste each day that we can actually compost. In addition to that, Mayor Goebel was kind enough to mention the amazing collaboration we have with her, with Nick and others, to develop a green battery research and development facility, which we're super excited about. And we are working to work with Mayor Williams and others in brownfields and making sure that we're looking at underutilized and abandoned buildings and look for ways to redevelop those. Last but not least, we do collaborate. We collaborate as a part of an alliance. It's building the economic development in Southern West Virginia, and we are just one of many. This is the biggest flock of geese you're ever going to see. But what's amazing is we're working hard to connect our industry and our students so they have the opportunity to get internships and co-ops and participate. Now, what's amazing is I didn't know that Brandon was going to share the power of geese, but on January 3rd, I had my very first Marshall University staff meeting. And the first thing I showed them was a video clip with the wisdom of geese. Because what it shows is that when geese fly in formation, they travel 70% further than they can fly as any individual. And if one actually gets weak or gets sick, 2 follow down with it to make sure that it breaks air resistance and keeps that one healthy until it can return to the flock. They know the old African proverb is true, which is if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Today, we are all from Charleston. Today, we are all from Huntington. Today, we are all members of Coalfield Development. Today, we are all Mountaineers. Today, we are Marshall. And I am so proud of who we are and who we're capable of being. And I'm so proud of this next speaker, who has been a mentor, a friend, a standard by which all other university presidents in the nation are measured. And I'm proud of the fact that when you take his blue and gold and you mix them together, they're Kelly Green. You know, Brad called me up one day and said, you know, I'm thinking about being a university president. I told him you should have higher aspirations. I think that that's true. So, and by the way, if he's George Jetson, I'm Orville Redenbacher. I'm tired of these kinds of comparisons. I really am. But, it's so great to be here today. To our 2 mayors, I'm grateful to both of you. I know you well. I think the world of both of them, and I think the world of their communities, as a matter of fact. I will just note one thing, though, and that is the fact that the largest city in West Virginia is Mountaineer Field on a Saturday afternoon. But that is only for a short period of time, then people get ornery, and then I'm glad to turn it back over to you. I want you to know that. But it is it's a special time. It really is for all of us. And to my dear friend Brad Smith, and he is my friend. Brad and I first met in John Chambers' home about 4 years ago now, Brad. And at that point, John was talking about the fact that we could make West Virginia into a startup state. We could make it a place in which people wanted to come, in which people wanted to locate, and in which there was a bright future for everyone who is here. But more importantly, there's a bright future for those who wanted to return and be with us. And that's exactly what has happened, because I can tell you, in those 4 years, dreams have come true. And now we can dream even bigger. And I think that is what we're all about right now. You know, you think about West Virginia. I'm not a native West Virginian. Brad is. Brad was born in Canova and has returned. I'm a born again West Virginian. And there's nothing quite like a convert. I can tell you that because converts are tenacious. They believe in their calling, and they believe in what we're trying to do. And we certainly do that. Brandon is the example of someone who could have done anything. Brandon is one of those talented young men who could have gone to run General Motors or to run Intel or whatever, but instead he decided to run a community-based development for his home state. Now that is heroic. That is what. Because we need to have those kind of stories. Because West Virginia is a resilient place. And our resiliency is what is our characteristic. You know, the Appalachian culture is as distinctive as is the Black culture or as the Hispanic culture. But there's uniqueness to it. It's about communities. It's about helping each other. It's about music and art, and it's about the spoken word. And that's what we're celebrating today, because it is that uniqueness which is going to attract people. United Van Lines just did a survey. I don't know if you all saw it. People are moving from a variety of places. They're moving from California. They're moving from New Jersey. They're moving from Connecticut. Guess where they're moving? South Dakota, South Carolina, and West Virginia. And we welcome every one of them. One of the things that I also noticed that I think is important is there was just this survey, Brad, that was done, which said to West Virginia, if you could live anywhere, where would you live? And they said West Virginia. And the second thing they said, the second question was, if you would move, where would you move to? Well, I might move to somewhere else in West Virginia. There is a love affair between this state and its people. I always tell the story about the fact that we were playing football. We actually won that game, but we were playing football in Phoenix, Arizona. And we were at this beautiful hotel, and this woman comes up to me and she says, I understand you're the president of West Virginia University. I said, I am. She said, well, I'm from West Virginia. And I said, well, how wonderful. You must love it here. All this sun and all the vibrancy. And I said, what are you doing? She said, I run this hotel. I'm privileged to run this hotel. And I said, well, what can I do for you? She said, find me a job in West Virginia. That is our future. And that's what you're doing, Brandon. That's what you're doing, Mayor Steve. That's what you're doing, Mayor Amy. That's what you're doing, Brad. That's what we're all doing, because we believe in the state, not because we live here, but because we're privileged to be West Virginians. And so thank you for letting me be here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you all so much. Who feels inspired about the future of West Virginia? Thank you. A couple of our guests will need to scoot out here shortly. So I'm going to do introductions based off of that. So I'm going to start down here. We're going to go around. We're going to have a roundtable discussion about economic development, economic diversification in Southern West Virginia. So let's just do introductions here, name, organization, and your role with the coalition. And then we'll start the roundtable with Danny, since he'll have to slip out here shortly.
Good afternoon. I'm Nate Keller, Airport Director and CEO, West Virginia International Yeager Airport. And we're excited to be a part of the coalition looking at advanced air mobility, electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, and what kind of infrastructure improvements we can make at the airport, and also working with Marshall University and Advantage Valley on Battery Research Center.
So my name is Danny Twilley. I'm the Assistant Vice President for the Crabs and Geese Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative at West Virginia University. One of the projects that my team is involved in helping lead is the sustainable mine land. So taking our former mine lands to sustainable mine lands in a variety of different fashions. And we're bringing our best and brightest from West Virginia University to bear on this single issue. How do we reclaim our mine lands and put them into economic use and positive economic use? The other thing, we're also very privileged to work with the workforce team, Alex Weld, on trying to keep our best and brightest here. That's our future. We've got the talent, let's keep them here. And as President Geese says, let's build a fence around the state.
Hi, I'm Jenna Belcher, Executive Director of the New River Gorge Regional Development Authority. We are working in collaboration with a project led by the West Virginia Community Development Hub, the West Virginia Community and Business Resilience Initiative. I'd be remiss to not introduce my counterpart, Judy Moore. She's in the audience today. She's the Executive Director of our West Virginia Have Initiative. And as the entrepreneurship entity serving the 12 southernmost states in West Virginia, we feel that it's imperative to really bring entrepreneurship to bear as we support green industry practices and provide business resources and tools for entrepreneurs through the Act Now Coalition.
Hello, I'm Sarah Payne Scarborough, and I have the honor to work for Marshall University. And I also have another honor that I am the Operation Council Lead for a higher education collaborative called the Alliance for the Economic Development of Southern West Virginia. And it's a higher education collaborative made up of 11 colleges and universities in Southern West Virginia. So if you look at a map, it's really Webster County, Mason County down. There's 11 institutions. We just added University of Charleston to that. And we have the ability to lead the Green Building Initiative, really workforce development. I've been working with Brandon for the last 2.5 years, hosting regional workforce development meetings. And we're going to turn our college campuses literally into learning labs to do retrofits, explore energy efficiency, and we're just honored to be a part of this Act Now coalition.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephanie Tyree, Executive Director of the West Virginia Community Development Hub. The Hub is the project lead on the West Virginia Community and Business Resilience Initiative. We're working with the leading entrepreneurship service providers serving Southern West Virginia, Advantage Valley and the West Virginia High, and the Brownfields Assistance Centers at WVU and Marshall. And we're taking a three-pronged approach to create the foundation for the ground up portion of the Act Now Coalition. We're going to be working with people, places, and planning to really bring communities across Southern West Virginia to the table so that we're integrating our manufacturing development, our construction, and our workforce development with community leadership and community-led projects to build stronger communities across Southern West Virginia.
Good afternoon, I'm Patrick Farrell. I am the founder of Savage Grant, which is a private company making investments in companies focused on the infrastructure problems we have, the environment, and human capital. As part of this coalition, I'm working with the Sustainable Minelands component, trying to solve the big problem of abandoned minelands across our region.
I'm Alex Weld. I'm the Executive Director of Generation West Virginia. Generation West Virginia is leading the Grow Now initiative, which is a component piece of this proposal. And that is a new acronym that we just created, so I'll read it to you. It is the Growing Resilient Opportunities for West Virginia's Workforce proposal. And basically that is training, retaining, and placing people in new jobs here in West Virginia. So as Danny Twilley mentioned at WVU, we are working to support the growth of working to keep young people here in the state as they graduate from a four-year institution. We're also working with Sarah Payne Scarborough, the Alliance, to ensure that energy auditors are trained and can get jobs here in West Virginia and can really make a difference in terms of getting more green buildings online here in the state. As well as High Rocks, another institution working on building out tech literacy in the state and providing jobs to people in that sector. And Generation West Virginia leads a program called New Force, a tech training program that is taking people from various spaces in their lives, anywhere from being in the service industry to being in recovery, coming out of homelessness, and getting them jobs at companies like Corten and IBM as junior coders after a 6-month training program. So really, we're kind of looking at this framework of training as well as placing and retaining in jobs. So as we've all been discussing, these people can stay in these jobs and support our economy, and we can support them.
Good afternoon, I'm Thomas Minnie. I'm really pleased to be here at this event. This is a stellar event, Brad. And as the director of the Nation Conservancy has been cooperating with WVU on the Sustainable Minelands approach. We bring our nature and economy work to this coalition, and we just recognize that people and nature are inextricably linked. The health and well-being of nature is the health and well-being of the community, the jobs, the economies that local people have. And so through our Nature and Economy Director, Eric Sperlis, we've been bringing his expertise in creative natural climate solutions to be a part of this coalition.
Good afternoon, I'm Terrell Ellis. I'm the Executive Director for Advantage Valley. We're a regional economic development organization that is marrying up all those great resources that Mayor Williams and Mayor Goodwin have as the anchors of our great region here. We promote the Charleston to Huntington metro area Because we know that people don't look to move someplace or locate their business someplace based on one point on a map. We know that they're mobile. They want to know what's around them. What are the resources they can take advantage of? So it's really incumbent on us to bring those resources to bear on all the activity that's going on. We are partnered with a number of you, as you've heard, on a few of the initiatives. Primarily, we're a big piece of the entrepreneurship program working with the Hive. And I really look forward to working with the Hub in integrating our entrepreneurship strategies into the community planning process, because we talk an awful lot about, revitalizing communities, but we never really get sometimes to where the rubber meets the road. So where do you find those people? Because it's the people and the businesses that they're going to open that are really going to do the revitalization efforts. It's the Amandas of the world that we need to find. So we hope with the Hive to find those people and offer them those direct services in terms of business coaching and training and access to capital. And for those businesses that want to participate in this new green economy, we want to be able to give them the tools they need to do green business practices so that that can affect their triple bottom line. Mayor Goodwin mentioned the food production facility that we're working in. We've discovered in the Advantage Valley region that there are over $200 million worth of demand for food products that are not being met here within the region. These are sales that are going outside of the region. So it's really incumbent on us to get those facilities in place, to get the entrepreneurial training in place so that we can help scale up those cottage food producers to become consumer packaged goods that we're going to see on the shelves at Kroger's and outside of our state. So that's just a little bit of what we're doing, playing a role with Nick too in the canal manufacturing space. Thank you.
Thank you all. We do have a virtual speaker. What you see right here behind Patrick Farrell is solar panels from the company Solar Holler. They have their HQ here. Their tagline is to mine the sun. An incredible business led by an incredible entrepreneur named Dan Conant. Dan is with us virtually.
Great. Sorry I couldn't be with y'all today. I'm actually at the tail end of a COVID quarantine with my whole family over here. So thanks for letting me dial in. Solar Holler is really honored to be a part of this group. We've been working with Coalfield for the last 8 years. We actually got started in 2013. And to echo what a lot of other folks have been saying, when I was starting the company, I was told I was crazy because who builds solar in West Virginia? Who would possibly want solar in West Virginia? And when we were getting going, venture capital didn't really exist in West Virginia. Banks wouldn't help small businesses, and so we had to go out there and build this entire solar industry from scratch. Without all the trappings and without all the kind of financial infrastructure that you've got in California or Massachusetts. But over the last 9 years, we've built an incredible team. We built a virtual power plants when those were not a thing before any utilities had done them. And we did it in small town West Virginia, which still shocks a lot of people. Along the way, we had to teach electrical inspectors and develop financing programs and put all of that together for the very first time. So we're excited to be part of this group, helping to really structure some new incentive programs, new entrepreneurial development funds, and things that will help us really build out the full potential of the solar industry and the green and the clean energy industry here in West Virginia, and be able to pull in the investment that we know is possible and that we honestly need as a state, but that just simply didn't exist 9 years ago. I want to make it easier for the next generation of West Virginians who want to be a part of the clean energy industry to actually be able to pull it off. So really excited for that. Ultimately, what we're trying to do here is build up a $50 billion investment opportunity in our state. If we've fully transitioned to clean energy over the next 10 to 15 years, that's going to be more than $50 billion pouring into our state and into our communities and into our businesses. That's going to be $50 billion that can go towards union union scale wages towards supporting families and really helping to revitalize our communities. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm excited to be a part of this, and ultimately, excited to be working with this entire group to craft some really cool strategies that are going to make that $50 billion investment possible.
Thank you so much, Dan. Incredible vision, but Solar Holler is proving that it's possible. So before the WVU team's got to take off, I want to hit on mine lands just real quick, and then we'll let them go. So Pat could just share, why is this so hard? Why hasn't this not been cracked already? And then we're going to pass to Danny right before he hits the road for how this project's going to approach it.
So Mayor Williams said, make no little plans. And as I think about the abandoned mine lands issue, I start with all the abandoned mines that are out there. I think there are different estimates, but maybe somewhere up to 500,000 different abandoned mines, 1 million acres of land. And when I ask people, what will it take to fix this problem? Let's just say we wanted to fix the whole thing. You can do all the research you want, and you'll see that the federal databases show about $11 billion worth of work that needs to be done. That's vastly underestimating the problem. Doesn't account for inflation, design costs, administrative costs. Most people would say it's going to cost north of $20 billion to solve it. And that's just for the pre-1977 AML properties. Right? You get to the post, it's another $10, $15 billion on top of it. And if you dig a little deeper and you say, well, will money fix this problem? Let's just say we could hit the I believe button, that all the money in the world exists, that we can solve it. And the answer is simply no, that we don't have the alignment right now of all the parties. That if we had all the money, we still couldn't fix it because we have private landowners. You have mining companies that may or may not be in business. You have bonding companies that are facing insolvency. You have state agencies that can't call the water permits because then the taxpayer is going to bear the responsibility if the money's not there. And so we've got a Gordian knot, right? And in order to fix this, all the parties are going to have to come together. All right, because Brandon talked about the geese. The geese aren't there now because the incentives aren't aligned. And with all that is the private companies, the government, the public-private partnership to reach some kind of grand bargain that can fix this issue. So that's the issue that we see out there. And if we do, the job creation potential, thousands of jobs, right? If we can fix this, there would be thousands of jobs to repair the land, local jobs, repairing the land where people live and work.
And a lot of the skills for mine land reclamation are the same skills for coal mining. So the parlay there for transition makes a lot of sense. So Danny, what's the initial design here? And then we'll let you and President Gee hit the road.
Yeah, well, first, thank you for being here today. So we're very fortunate. We're bringing, we at WVU and with the Nation Conservancy and Patrick and many others and Coalfield work, we're bringing basically thought leaders who have been working in this space for a while. And we're bringing them together to focus what I would consider one of our greatest liabilities, and that can become our greatest opportunity, is how do we take these former mine lands and convert them into opportunities for green technology and green energy. And so we're going to try to create a marketplace for that. We're going to assess the properties and take the ones within the state and bring them through a multi-layered assessment process. And in doing so, we have to understand how do we bring the capital to bear, both philanthropic, both our grants and our federal dollars, and our private dollars as well to bear. And we also then have to say what's possible on these properties if we can match those alignments that Patrick was talking about. And at the same time, we also need to do the second part, which is feed the businesses, right? How do we ensure that Solar Holler's at the table? And how do we take other business development and entrepreneurs and make sure that they have a place in order to grow within this industry for this? And at the same time, we know we have technology out there that's close, that if we can just feed just a little bit, it's going to be ready to deploy. Or how do we convert technology that's being used in one application and bringing that over? And so we've got some great thought leaders at the institution that we're going to really help us do that. And then obviously we know the work that Brandon and Coalfield Development has been doing for so long and just making such great impact. So how do we make sure that the workers are here, right? So in essence, we need to make sure that the properties, we understand them, we get them ready. We then bring the business and the technology to bear, and then we have to have the workforce. And when we do that, we create a marketplace of what's possible in converting our former mine lands into what we would consider sustainable mine lands for future growth and development.
And that's in essence what we're going to try to accomplish with this.
It's an awesome vision. Happy to be a part of it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
There's an economic argument on mine lands, but then there's an ecological argument. So I want to go to Thomas, the Nature Conservancy. Appalachia is important, not just for the country's shift to climate resilience, but really for the entire planet.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brandon. I would say one thing we have to get ourselves used to doing is talking across silos. We often think nature and economy, and they're not separate. They are together. And so when we think of these terms, let's just talk about getting it all instead of not what we don't have. Let's talk about wanting it all, right? And West Virginia has to get used to doing that. So let me talk about the wonderful part of my job, is which I get to tell people how amazing West Virginia is all the time. You know, the Nation Conservancy is one of the world's largest environmental organizations. Our science shows that we sit at a peak of biodiversity for plants and animals here in West Virginia. We have some of the most intact forests anywhere in North America, and this place is a keystone and a continental superhighway of resilient and connected lands and waters. We store a huge amount of carbon here and provide for future movement and an adaptation in the natural world under changing climate. And all of these things are essential for human health and well-being too. All of these places provide clean air, clean water, amazing outdoor recreation, tourism opportunities, and natural resource products that support our livelihoods. So why do we want to participate in this coalition? Because we have to protect that while at the same time making opportunities. And the participating can be a win for nature and it can be a win for people. So these sustainable mine lands, if the funds become available, this will be opportunities for our economy, allowing expansion into low carbon future alternatives. That's participation in the future while nodding to our past and remaining an energy state. All while directing these work to the mine lands and disturbed areas where investments can have the most impact to communities that need it, while also ensuring this development is directed away from those important natural areas that are attracting tourists that are also building jobs around that industry. Our goal is to see a West Virginia where we can have it all. Global class nature, a continuation of our connection to our outdoor life and culture that serves us West Virginians, and importantly, attracts new people and professionals to want to be a part of our lives here, which people have mentioned and alluded to. So big intact forests sequester carbon while they maintain our amazing natural beauty and growing tourism and timber industry all together. And increased economic opportunities by participating in a large carbon future allows us to stay true to our roots. So getting this work together gets us nearer our goal of having it all. And I'm proud the Nation Conservancy can bring its expertise and voice to this work.
Thank you, Thomas. And this theme of West Virginia is not having to pick between the quality job and clean drinking water. There's a bottom-up element of this and an opportunity, Stephanie, for West Virginians to say, we know we deserve better. We've always known we deserve better. And this Build Back Better regional challenge, it's finally enough funding. Maybe we don't have to trim our vision down. Maybe we really can realize the vision that we at the community level have created for ourselves. Can you share a little bit about the process that you and your organization lead in different areas, and how do we do it ground up? What does that actually look like?
Sure. So the West Virginia Community Development Hub is really in a lot of ways blessed to get to work with small towns across West Virginia. We work with dozens of communities directly every day on the ground, helping them understand what is their vision for the future of their community. And like you were saying with Hubcap, Brandon, how do we work together to prioritize what we're going to do to move forward specific projects that build towards that vision? The communities that the hub works with on average are about 2,000 people. And that's a lot of West Virginia. It's small towns, and it's towns that you might not think about when you're thinking at the regional or statewide level, but they're the heart of our state. And they're the towns that people want to be in and that they feel deeply connected to and rooted in. They're also, we think, the places where there's enormous leadership in the state that has a lot of ideas about how we move forward, how we think creatively, and how they build their communities. The challenge has been accessing resources to move forward those ideas and working through some of the things that Patrick was talking about in terms of the complications of the Gordian knot, right? So what is really special about the Act Now Coalition is that we're thinking really intentionally about what are the pieces that we know need to be aligned to support community leaders on the ground to help them move beyond ideas and vision, but into real implemented projects and long-term resiliency plans that are thinking about how the world is changing around us and how we are going to adapt within that world and be stronger placed. So we know that community planning, community development, community-driven projects has to be connected into the built environment, into reusing the buildings, the downtown, rural main streets, and the historic properties that are in a lot of ways the assets of the communities that we live in. And like Carol was saying, it has to be connected into the entrepreneurial ecosystem. How are we identifying entrepreneurs in these communities? They're already there. They might have a vision, or they might have an idea about a business that they know they'd like to start, but they don't know how to start it, or they don't know how to take it out of their home into a long-term space. So we are doing this work, but in a lot of ways it hasn't been as deeply integrated in the line as we're tackling with the Act Now Coalition. So that's a strategy. I think the unique part of this is that we're not piloting new things with this. We're building on time-tested, evidence-backed approaches that many of us have been doing for over a decade, but it's accessing the resources to scale them up, to meet communities where they are, and to not just do it in 1 or 2 communities, but to do it across 21 counties, so that we're trying to make sure that no communities left behind.
Because I had a reporter said, asked me, when did this coalition come together? And I started to say about October of last year, but then I stopped and said, the real answer is about 10 years ago or more. The trust that's built up in this room, that's what's making this possible. You partner on a conference every year with Sarah called Small Communities, Big Solutions. Sarah, I love that. Can you tell people what the Alliance is and speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So the Alliance is the Higher Education Collaborative, and we got started in 2018. And it really, what brought us together was, higher education can be a little intimidating, especially if you're an employer and you need workers. Who do I go to speak to at the college or university? And I need this many workers trained by this date. And so the Alliance was formed to kind of cut through that red tape, if you will, to have one contact. You come to the Alliance, and then we will get you linked up, and we will navigate and facilitate the right connections for you. And so the Alliance has been, we're project-based, results-driven. We take on projects, everything from an annual business leaders survey that's statewide to Small Communities, Big Solutions Conference, to really celebrate and elevate success stories happening in West Virginia. We have a lot of work to do in West Virginia, that's no doubt, but we've come a long way too. And we have so many projects that we should be proud of and highlight. And we have a lot of doers in West Virginia. And I am happy to be in my state. I love my state. And so being able to capture what's working well in the economy and tourism and outdoor recreation and healthcare and our recovery efforts, that conference is really important. And Brandon and Stephanie and their teams are wonderful partners on that conference. And so we're here as the Alliance to be a partner. We want to, what President Smith said, educate, innovate, and collaborate. And we really want to scale up our training. We want to raise access by training green job ambassadors out in the counties to connect with high school students to say, hey, you can stay in West Virginia and there's a path for success for you. You can write your own success story right here in West Virginia. You don't have to leave. And so it's getting them, it's training them, it's supporting them. We have separate, we also run the Collegiate Recovery Network in West Virginia, and we have peer recovery support specialists in 9 campuses in Southern West Virginia, ready to support our students and trainees with wraparound group and individual services. Because it's not just about educating, you have to support. And then finally, we need to link, we need to connect. And through a regional online internship, apprenticeship, co-op, clinical platform, we will get those green job opportunities, those green student experiences online and connect all the dots to help keep our talented individuals right here in West Virginia.
Love it. And Jenna, you're gonna get the last question. So we're coming down the home stretch here, but entrepreneurship has come up again and again and again. You are a leading innovator in this space. So much admiration for what you're doing. Can you update us on your efforts to support entrepreneurs, but also a reality check of why that's so much easier said than done, right?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, our West Virginia Hive Initiative was started in 2016, and we serve the 12 southernmost counties in West Virginia, which is obviously where I'm from. Was born and raised in McDowell County, so I have a strong passion for that region. But a lot of times in traditional economic development, I get asked the question, would you rather have one really big win or a bunch of little wins? And the unique part about New River Board Regional Development Authority and our West Virginia Hive program is that we actually don't have to pick. We can locate one really big manufacturer and do some really great work with one company, while at the same exact time working with multiple entrepreneurs throughout our 12 county footprint to really help create that collective big win. And so we recognize how important it is and how it does overlap with workforce development. I'll echo what Terrell and Stephanie have said today. This is not new work, right? We've all been doing this oftentimes in a silo, but what's really exciting about this proposal is this is the first time a lot of us have formally worked together. So at any given time, we've called and bounced ideas off of Terrell in her region, or Stephanie has been a mentor for me, and we work together with community impact. But aligning those strategies of building community capacity, redevelopment of assets in spaces, and creating those entrepreneurial resources that work intentionally in these communities are really what's going to help us create that ultimate bigger impact. So we're really fortunate to be able to align the strategies with the folks in this project and the Act Now Coalition to really bring those impacts to bear.
Well, thank you, everybody. This roundtable, I mean, there's so much knowledge up here. We could have gone all day, but I'm cognizant of folks' time. It's been a great press conference, and now it's time to get to work. We got a March 15 deadline. Aside from that, we have a transformational opportunity before us to act now for our people, to act now for our economy, to act now for our planet. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you in September when the next announcements get made.